All right, recording. All right.
All right, guys. Like I just said, this is the Go ED Bootcamp. Joe Otto, Executive Director, and myself, Josh Bamba, fully integrated business coach. Going to teach you some cool stuff today on, planning your month structurally and how to use your support team. So, Joe, if you want to click on that share screen button. That's going to share your screen.
All right.
Now hit present in the top.
Hit present. Where is that on the top?
Up, right.
Oh, I see it. I see it.
Shelly and Gabe could probably tell you that's something they called at midnight. So present view.
Yeah, hold on a second here. How was that? Are we there?
We are not.
I see it.
All right, we're working our way there. So any second now. You can only see the full.
I see the full screen and it says Optavia and the Optavia logo.
All right, there must be a disconnect here.
Let me click on maybe new share.
Yeah, try it.
Morning.
Morning.
There you go.
Okay.
All right, so you're going to scroll through the slides. So this is the obviously the Optavia slide, so that we know who's doing the training. So if you just hit like your space bar, it should take you to the next slide.
Okay. And then again, maybe not.
Perfect. So like I said already, the Go ED Strong Bootcamp with myself and Executive Director, the Joe Otto.
Yo, is it still recording?
Yes, they're recording. So you just got to stay on top of your space bar or your arrow over.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Can we go to the next one?
Yeah, it's your turn to start the training.
Oh, that's how this goes. All right. Okay. So we're going to start out with the map. And if you're new to if you've just become a senior coach and you're not an ED yet and you're definitely on your way, this may be something brand new for you. MAP is just as it says, the monthly action plan. So in that plan, let's go from month to month to know where we started from and where we're going to. It also starts to lay some details out for us for the month. So, when you're planning anything, even when you plan a family vacation, you start out with where you're going, and then you start mapping out what's going to happen to get you there. And, this is the same thing. And I know a lot of people this time of year, they're mapping out their business plan and what's going to happen in their business for the year. And we do it monthly. So you can read the bullet points. Of course, it's the tool track and plan. Obviously, the key for us moving from senior coach to a blended executive director to FIBC. And you're supposed to complete this by the first of the month. So it's really better if you can complete this a couple days before the end of the month that you're in, and then go ahead and set up a counseling session with your mentor coach, whoever it is, and they will walk you through your map, and then that puts everybody on the same page to know in what direction that you're wanting to move to in your business that month. I'm just going to break down this map and talk about all the bullet points in it and what each section is for here. So let's go. All right. So there it is. That's what your map looks like. Josh, you may bump in. Where do we print that from? I've got a whole bunch of them that I had. So
It's in your senior coach group, whether it be motivation or structural tension, or there's a few others, but it's in there. Plus, your coach should be sending it to you probably 2 days before the month's over with a video on how to fill it out. And then again, we just want to duplicate that and send it out to our coaches that are.
yeah. All right. So let's start to dissect it here a little bit. That bottom section. The bottom section is where you are right now. That is your current reality. So it just breaks it all down. It breaks it down by your rank, and then what your frontline volume is and where your group volume was. The group volume and your frontline volume, it may be the same if you're a brand new coach, and you've just brought on your first 5 or 6 clients. Your group volume and your frontline may be the same. It talks about how many new clients you had this month, and then it kind of breaks it all down all the way over to points, and then your total number of points that you have, knowing that you get 1 point for each 1,200 in frontline volume.
20, number
Oh.
twelve.
I'm getting some feedback, Josh. How do I mute all?
Can everyone just mute themselves? That'll be the easier way that you can not have to share, or I think Garrett might be able to do it.
All right. Got it. Okay. So then your second thing at the top, that's your desired outcome. And what that is, that's what you're shooting for in the month that the map is being planned for. So you got your name at the top, the month that you're planning for, and then what are your goals for the month? You know, what rank do you want to hit? How much frontline volume do you want to have? You know, how much group volume? Are you going to bring on any new coaches? Are you going to help a new coach go senior coach? I mean, how many new clients are you going to bring on? It just kind of giving you kind of a breakdown, and then you may write out a few little details under there where it says desired outcome. You may write out a few things on there that, you know, what you're hoping to accomplish or what you're moving towards. Maybe, I mean, and that's kind of what that section is for. The next section is your frontline volume tracker. So if you'll notice at the bottom, we start at the bottom and we work our way up. We're working our way up to coach. You know, you started out as a coach to hit senior coach. So you should be able to fill out those first 5 or 6 lines right there where you hit senior coach. And these are going to be clients, and then you're going to have it says B-Slim date up there. Of course, that's now the Optavia Premier date. And then you're going to fill that out, and then that way you'll know next month when that's going to reoccur. You just want to keep up with these are need to be clients with full orders. That's 22 boxes. Make certain that everyone's on track to you know, succeed on the program and not be, you know, splitting orders up and things of that nature. And then as you bring on more clients, you're just going to fill in those blanks. And as you fill in the blanks, you're going to move up the scale. And then when you've hit 8 clients and you hit your 9th client, you're going to be a manager. And you're ranking up. So that's kind of what we want to keep track of there for the frontline volume tracker. Next slide over. All right, now this is going to be when you start adding coaches. So it's a team tracker. You're going to put your coach's name up there, and then it's got a spot for 5 of their clients. And when they hit 5 clients, they become a senior coach. And, you know, we're always wanting to make certain that we're bringing on coaches when we're bringing on clients. For every 5 clients that we have, we should bring on a new coach. It's just the way the math works out. So as we continue to build up each individual client, it's integrating them into the system to bring them forward to become a coach. All right, so the next section. So that is where you're going to keep up with your points and your coaches. So as your frontline volume increases, you know, to hit senior coach, you have 1 point. That's in frontline volume. And then when you bring on a senior coach, that's when you start to become blended. And that's a blended executive director. And as you break a senior coach, you have those boxes in there. and then that'll increase your point for each coach. That's 1,200. That gives you 1 point, and you need 5 points to go executive director. So continuing on up the scale. Let's see, did I hit it? Work with me here. There we go. Okay, so now down at the bottom box, as you can see that there are spaces for 10 people on there. I did not draw that blue line. I don't know where the blue line came from. The blue line is extra. Extra blue line, and we don't know.
Someone with an iPhone is able to draw on the screen.
Did you were able to draw. Now reverse that. Go hit that little reverse button and take that.
Someone with an iPhone, whatever, but yeah, not a big deal.
Okay, so anyways, back to the top 10 client candidates. I have candidates that you're talking to.
Because I'm just trying to figure out what the hell I'm going to do.
Eric, hey, you're unmuted.
Please mute yourself.
I get that.
Eric Goldman.
Sorry.
What?
Technical difficulties. Brother.
Awesome. Keep going. The bottom part.
Nope, you haven't muted yourself. Anyways, back to the candidates. So you need those top 10 client candidates, and you're going to fill that out. And those are people that are hot on your mind, or people maybe responding to you, or reaching out to you, or whatever it is. Those are the top 10 client candidates. And as you're reaching those, you may bring them on as clients. If you do, they're going to bump up the scale and go into their frontline volume tracker. So that's kind of what you want to do there.
It's like a black one.
Also, you know, as you're working on your map, it's going to get messy. There's going to be lines. You're going to scribble things out. You're going to add people. You're going to drop people off. You know, it's just going to be messy. The messier it is by the end of the month, so shows that your map is being worked on, and then you're paying attention to your business as the month is going on. And then the next box that I've highlighted here is with this arrow right here. If you can see my cursor, this is your top 10 coaching candidates. Just like you have a top 10 for client candidates, you also want to have a top 10 for coaching candidates. And these may be current clients, maybe somebody else that's, you know, on your heart that you're thinking would be a great coach, maybe somebody with a big network. Maybe, you know, there are lots of different reasons that people become coaches. Not everyone needs to lose weight. Sometimes people just want to help other people, and they see you doing that, and maybe that they want to hop on board with you. So that's where you're going to add those. Hey, all right. So here is a mentor session with someone that had filled out his map. As you can see, the map is filled out. It's pretty complete. I mean, based upon where he was in his business, he was just hitting manager. If you can see that right there where the blue squiggly line is. Thank you, Josh.
I don't see that. Are you on the slide? Maybe
What?
I'm the only one that hasn't seen it yet. There we go. Now it just switched. Go ahead.
Oh, that's weird. Okay, well, it popped right over. Maybe that was the lag in your computer we were talking about.
Yeah.
All right. So anyways, back to what I was saying. I won't go into a lot of detail here because our time's pretty crunch. This is a pretty involved teaching session today, but that's a map that's filled out. You can see the bottom where his current reality was. He was a manager starting out the month. He's got his client candidates on there. He's kind of lacking on his coaching candidate. He's only had 5 coaching candidates on there, so he needs to be bumping that number up to increase that. You can see he's got 2 points circled up there. That would be check marks now because we have boxes on those and not circles. And then that month he was shooting for executive director, hoping to bring on looks like 11 new clients and hitting an even 6,000 in frontline volume, which is exactly what it takes to be. So.
Oh, no, I haven't seen Papa yet.
All right. And now this is on the back side of the map is a contact worksheet. So, you know, you've got your top 10 candidates for clients. and your top 10 candidates for coaching, you also want to keep a list. You've got to be a big giant list that you've got, and it's going to continue to evolve. You're going to keep adding more names to it. We're saying a hundreds list. I don't know. There's obviously not enough space for 100 people on there, so you're going to need to use additional paper. But you want to use that. You want to fill it up. You don't want there to be any blanks in there. You want to keep continuing to bring in names of more people, and then continue to increase that. And sometimes people will go from the contact worksheet and they may get put on the back on the first side of your following month on the map to be new coaching prospects, client prospects. Would it do better if I muted all?
Yeah, if you're able to do that, or see where Lisa Braun's name is, if you hit the dots above it, you're able to.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that now on this screen.
Same with John Leach. But yeah, if you can, everyone, if you can mute yourselves, that would really be helpful. Cool.
Team coaching.
So team coaching, when do we do it? Why do we do it? Team coaching, there's, different times to do it. Obviously, with a candidate, it's going to happen a lot with the new coaches. Just like we want to help people learn as from the coach, almost like an apprentice, we're going to model these calls for them. So these initial 3-way calls or Zooms are really to transfer skills. So we're going to have the candidate, the client candidate, the new coach, and you are going to be on the call. Another good time for team coaching for using your mentorship, celebration calls, the client story calls. So if people are struggling, people are doing awesome, we want to get them on a Zoom, to help, especially with those client story calls. The coach celebration calls, when your coach brings on their first client or hits senior coach or hits executive director, obviously you're going to talk to your if you bring on a new coach, you're going to talk to them daily, if not, every other day. But you're also going to talk to your coach on these calls too. That really, it really brings in that the professional too, especially even with the clients. So for all these senior coach celebrations, like I said, when they hit ED, we're going to have them in on meet and greets. So when you bring on a new coach, you're going to introduce them to your coach, which they probably already met on a celebration call, and they're probably going to lead the meeting, and what that's going to do is really edify them as the professional. You go to the next one. So I'm guessing this one's understanding your 2 levels of support. Oh no, the team coaching perks. So the goal it's basically to show the community and transfer the skills in real time. We want to observe kind of that skill set, during the actual application. I talked about learning as an apprentice. Joe, I just realized I stole your 2 slides. But what the idea of this, when we observed, in the actual, real time with people doing this, we're gonna confirm that the skills are being transferred. So you're gonna be able to see where they might need more attention, and this is really gonna come with you talking to your coach as you bring the new person on. You're gonna talk about prior what the idea is, what the goal is of the conversation. And then afterwards, after every call, you want to debrief. I still debrief with my coach, and I've been doing this for a year and a half. And when you debrief, you want to give them positive reinforcement and suggest, hey, I really like how you did this, but this might be a better way. You don't want to say, hey, you did this wrong, and this wrong. That definitely doesn't inspire someone to want to keep doing this or better themselves or grow. So that positive reinforcement really helps.
Bump again.
Yes, sir. So I'm on the next slide.
You are.
So understanding your 2 levels of support. Is that this one?
It is.
Okay, because it still hasn't showed up for me, but I don't know if everyone else can see it.
Sherry says yes.
Yeah, you can.
Mm-hmm.
And there you go. So understanding your 2 levels of support. Obviously, during the the client, the client Zoom, you're going to have. I still haven't changed yet. Give me a second. I'll pull it up. Okay, so did the first one come through yet, Joe? Can you see that? Because I still can't.
Josh, just so you know, I can see a slide that says understanding your 2 levels of support. There you go. Yeah, nothing else was on now.
I don't know why it's that.
You got to hit the next
This.
button.
You want me to just hit them all?
Yeah, if you want to throw them all in there, that'll work too.
I mean, this is the first slide that's done that. It hadn't done that any other time. So
it was just like your map one where you had to put the arrows in.
yeah, but it hadn't done that for any other time I was playing with the.
All right, not a big deal.
It's all right.
So yeah, if that's that way, if we get them all in there,
Yeah.
people can just look at them that way.
Right.
So understanding your 2 levels of support, the candidate call that we just kind of went through, what that's going to do is the people that we're going to have on that, it's obviously the client candidate, you as the coach, and one person from the mentorship team. What that does, like I just said, it's going to be about 30 minutes, roughly, unless they have a lot of questions. But that's you, teaching your coach, how to share the program, the full trilogy. And that's why we're inviting them to help you with the training and so they can get the information as well. The coach candidate, we have, they're probably going to be a client, but it's going to be that coach candidate, you as the coach, and one person from the mentorship team. What this really shows that candidate for the coach is that you're not going to have to do this alone. And that's what it really kind of reinforces. Plus, imagine, one of my buddies comes on as a coach, and is he going to look at me as a professional if, a year ago, me and him were, doing whatever we did a year and a half ago. But that's really where that person comes in as a professional. We'll talk about edifying your coach, but that really helps change the mindset of your buddies or your friends, because they've known you for your entire life, and you might not have known anything about health, before you started doing this. So those calls, depending on questions, are usually around, 30 minutes as well. Sometimes they'll go a little longer. The celebration calls, these ones are a little shorter, but what we do is we have your client, you, and a person from the mentorship team for the same reason. It's somebody else celebrating them. And believe it or not, I don't understand why, and I probably never will. You can have a client tell you that they're doing program perfectly. They're drinking all their water, they're eating all their fuelings, they're doing everything that they need to do. But for some reason, you get them on a call with your coach, and then they're going to tell your coach about, how, they're eating 1 serving of vegetables, or they're weighing their meats, before it's cooked, or they're getting, they're drinking vodka because it's healthier than the other stuff, and they thought that was okay on program. But that's what you're going to get when you get them on a call, even when they tell you that they're doing awesome, because in their mind they are, but then for some reason, they'll open up. I mean, we found out people are at the gym working out, and their body's just storing fat or storing the food instead of breaking it down, because, they're going into that starvation mode. But that's one why you really want to get your mentorship team on there, because that's where they'll open up. That's where they get that trust. That's where they get that professional in there too. And then, those as well are going to take anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes too. And then your coach, so, all right, if you want to go to the next one.
All right.
So this one's understanding your 2 levels of support. Same thing. The meet and greet, your new coach, and one person from your mentorship team. And this is when you bring on a new coach, you're still edifying your coach. You're still bringing them on. You're still showing that we do this as a team. And they come in as the outsider, and it's usually a little easier for the new coach to talk with them. So protocols before all of these different types of calls. How do we deal with this? How do we set them up? Obviously, you're gonna set them up in your coach's calendar. You want to be on time. Prior to the call, you want to shoot, depending on how you communicate with your coach, either a Facebook message or a text message. And then also you want to shoot the person that's going to be on the call, shoot them a message or a Facebook message, just to confirm everyone's still going to be there. Chances are, if you have a coach like me, or like Garrett, or even Joe, those are the ones I can see right now, but chances are they're busy. That 30-minute block of time is one of 5 or 10 or 15 30-minute blocks of time coming up that they have that's booked. So if you're not going to make it there, you don't want to get them there, and really waste the time. What we usually do is we'll make sure that I get on, the coach or client, whoever the potential is, and then I'll message my coach and say, hey, we're on. Because I don't want Justin to sit here as we're on there and have to say, all right, if you push the microphone button, call in via device audio. All right, so your picture is not working. Push, I'd rather have that all done and ready before he even gets there. I want him there to celebrate, or I want him there to teach. So sending that text message reminder, big thing that I've noticed, we don't want to be a distraction. We want them to pay attention to our coach, because that's where they're going to get that real positive reinforcement. That's where they're going to get the information. So don't eat. Don't turn your screen off. You got to be present. What I really, really prefer is, I'll have my client on, I'll get on and I'll introduce my coach and edify him, and then I just mute. This is, where they're, all the training that they have, or all these calls that they've done is really, almost like the 5-in-1. You eat the food, you drink the water, you're going to lose the weight. There's a system to everything that we do. So as your coach is having a conversation, if you're jumping in and you keep talking, then that's really going to kind of mess up the flow. So I just mute until my coach asks me, is there anything you want to throw in, Josh, or something like that. If the call's canceled, make sure that you let your mentorship team know, just because I already said, they're probably real busy. And they probably have, other things coming up. So that extra half an hour, if they're going to sit here, that's probably pretty valuable to them.
Okay, so we're going to start now. We're going to talk about why we're going to do these client story calls. You're also probably, you may have heard of this more as a client celebration call. I know the first time I heard that story call, I thought, I don't know what that is. But then it was the celebration call. So one of the big things that it does is, we're going to talk about the why for doing that, is it integrates your client into the community. From the very beginning, in some of those text messages, we're telling them to go into, when they first become a client, we're telling them to go into their client support page and introduce themselves. Maybe ask for tips of, hey, they're brand new, they're just starting out on program. And as they start doing that, that integrates them into the system, and it gets them used to asking questions in the group. It gets them used to start seeing positive reinforcement from other people. And a lot of times that gives them that, like it says, an extra layer of support that maybe they can't get a hold of you, because we don't want to be, you as the sponsoring coach, you do not want to be the answer man. I don't want my clients coming to me every time they have a question, because if I'm not available, they're going to flounder. So I want them to know that they have a place that they can go to get the questions answered that they need. So neat thing about this is also it's amazing what that client will share in that third person, just like Josh was just talking about, because stuff that they didn't share with you, it's been so funny. I thought, no, my clients are different. My clients will tell me everything. And then I get on a support call with my mentor and I'm going, well, they didn't tell me that. So that's been a really neat thing that you learn about your clients, and you want to take notes during that call. Like Josh said, you also want to be present. As you're present, be in tune with what's going on. You're going to add additional notes to your health assessment for that specific client. That way, when they do struggle and they come back from something, you can bring up things maybe from different times that they've talked to you to help to or encourage them to continue moving forward. Of course, that celebration is going to lend that third-party credibility. Real-time teaching tools for coaches. You as the sponsoring coach are going to be learning as the mentor coach is going through different steps, different questions, different thing they're asking the new client. You're not just in there just listening to what the client's saying. You're also listening to what the mentor coach is asking of this new client. And also you're learning to get your trilogy glasses on. As that new client starts to talk about things, you as the coach, you may be only focused on their weight. You're wanting them to succeed with their weight loss, and you may just have almost like having blinders on, that you're focused on that one thing. But your mentor coach has been doing this for a long time. Even if it's just a day longer than you, they've still been doing it for a longer time. And they've got their trilogy glasses, and they're not as concerned about the weight loss as they are listening to signals and cues. Maybe the person's having a job situation, or maybe things aren't going well at home, or they've been struggling over money, or something's going on, and your mentor coach is listening to that to help them move forward to becoming a coach too. Okay, so when do we do a client story, a call, a Zoom, a celebration? We almost do them all the time. There's a reason to do one almost all the time. So, you're going to set one up on someone's, there again. Can we all mute ourselves, please? You're going to have one at that week one celebration. And that week one is very important. A lot of times you're going to set that up in your pre-call. So, when you're talking to that client pre-call before they're starting on program the night before, you're going to go ahead and set up that first celebration call for the following week. And so after their 7-day mark, you want to have that set up in place. That way you can hop on and, celebrate their success. If they have any questions, you can do that. You're just going to help to move them forward. You want to, looking at that maybe at the end of month 1. At the end of month 2, there's always time to do celebration calls. That month 1 is going to be probably a big month. They've lost a lot of weight that month. Their excitement, their energy, all that stuff is coming into play, and that's reinforcement to them to continue moving forward. Month 2 could be that they've, started changing clothing sizes, or they're, fitting into different things that they haven't worn in a long time or something, and that's, again, it's still all positive reinforcement to help them move forward. You want to hop on a Zoom or a call, when they're waiting for their program. Same thing. You're just helping them move forward and easing their mind that they're doing the right thing for them. Just after fat burn, of course, that's day 4, day 5 of going into fat burn. So that's going to be at that 1 week celebration. Could be milestones on their program. It could be when they're struggling. If someone's struggling on program and they're needing some help, that's what we're here for. We're coaches. We coach them. Not just coaching somebody when things are going good. We want to help to coach them when things aren't going good, and we want to figure out why. And dive into their struggle and help them realize, reconnect them to their why, reconnect them back to why they started on the program to begin with. We want to celebrate that we're excited about their success. We want to talk about when they're referring people. Maybe they're starting to get people to notice what's going on with them and they're wanting to start referring people to you. We're going to talk to them about possibly becoming a coach or if they want to continue to refer. And then, of course, when they're starting in their transition, and I'm finding now, as I've been coaching here for just a little bit, I've got several clients that are transitioning. And sometimes they think that's an end point. Aha, I made it. No, you didn't make it. The thing that we don't want them to get into is that mindset, just like a diet, that they jumped on and then they're going to jump off. There's no jumping off part. We want to help them transition into maintenance. We want to help them learn what to do next, not a point that they're going to end and walk away, because if they do, they could keep that yo-yo cycle going in their life and go back to where they were before because they didn't have a good proper transition. So we want to hop on a Zoom or call with them to help them realize that even though they've reached their goal weight, that is not the end of where they're going. Okay, so extending the invite. So you want to set that up, like I said, you're going to set that up in the pre-start call. You can kind of read that after you've been on your health journey for about a week. I can't wait for your first story celebration call. You'll get to meet other people in your coaching team, and he or she will get to meet you. The call will be so fun, and it's part of our team coaching that we talked about. Okay, so that pre-start call is very important night before. You want to have that with them. You want to go through some of the details about what's going to happen through the week, and then you want to talk about that pre-start call. So you're really always trying to invite them to the next thing. There's never a stopping point where we don't continue to invite them into the next thing. It could be, extending that invite could be during the client check-in. That may be at the end of the first month. You've got that 1 month check-in you wanted to talk about, and they've lost a lot of weight and people are starting to notice, and you're wanting to, there again, you're trying to get into a celebration time with them and helping them understanding the importance of celebrating what they've done and to help them move forward. And usually they'll respond to that, but if you're having a hard time with that, we just keep dripping on them and in hopes that they will continue to move forward and tie in with us so that we can help them in their journey.
Okay, so who leads a client story call? Obviously, the support team coach that has the skill. You're going to bring, depending on who you bring on the call, it could be you and your coach and your coach's coach plus that person, or you want to make sure that you bring somebody on that knows what how the flow of the call, that knows how these calls go. So the reason that we have them do this is because we want to make that client feel comfortable. We want to keep it in a real decent time frame, be able to answer all their questions. But we had talked about edifying that coach earlier. So when you bring that person on, that's the main thing that helps them, feel comfortable, that they're talking to someone that knows what they're talking about. They're talking to a professional. And then that professional or your coach is not better at answering questions, but to the client, they think that person has a little more knowledge and is able to actually address their concerns. The coach also is there to listen for clues for the healthy mind and the healthy finances. There are questions that they'll go over during that celebration call, where they'll ask, how is work? What do you do for work? How much time do you spend with your family? Oh, how's, all the stuff, just to dig into that kind of information. So,
yeah, I'm working on it.
The purpose of these calls, it's number one, we want to celebrate the client. That's big. A lot of these people might not have lost 5, 6, 7, 10. I've even had people lose 15 pounds in week 1. Think about that. They're, day 1, 2, and 3 probably weren't the most fun for them. They stuck it out, and now here they are, step on a scale, and they're down, let's say, 10 pounds. Don't you think that's really exciting for them? I overcame headaches, I overcame hunger, I overcame tiredness, and here's what I got out of it. Heck yeah, you want to celebrate that with them. Another reason, we want to awaken that struggling client. I talked to a girl yesterday that only lost 2 pounds her first week, and I had to figure out why. And I talked to her and figured it out. But girls have that problem. But then after, we talked about what her next week could look like. So she got really excited. Besides her specifics, but yeah, she got really excited. And what we're doing is we really want to edify that sponsoring coach, because they're coming in as the professional. That's when people open up, people talk more. Like I said, you find out things that they haven't been telling you. And then they just really have that trust, and we'll see that on a future slide. But they really have that trust now because you're bringing your coach in. So it's just kind of a big circle there. We want to expose people to the culture. Big time with the culture is showing we don't do this by ourselves. Because when they come on as a coach, they're not going to have to do this by themselves. When now that they're on as a client, they're not alone. They have a whole team of people that want to watch them succeed. And we want to layer this. We want to invite them to coach. By doing that, by having your coach on, like I said, it shows that we don't do this alone. And your coach, not probably because they've been doing it longer, they're probably better at inviting to coach. They're probably better at, explaining what coaching can look like in that client's life. So the way that a client story call kind of goes, you're going to introduce your coach and your clients. So you're going to introduce everybody on the call. Your mentor is going to lead the call. And in the beginning, you hop on and, we'll usually say, hey, Garrett, how do you know Melody? Oh, Garrett, cool. You're down this much. Tell me your story. Where were you? Where do you want to be? Where are you now? So the mentor coach might share their story afterwards. Sometimes, if I'm listening for certain things in that story, I'll make myself relate to that person with my story. Hey, you want to lose 40 pounds. I ended up doing that. Whatever their goal is, I might talk about, whatever part of my story, goes with what they said. We want to find out what they're most excited about. Not, hey, how was your week? What was exciting this last week? What are you excited for? Because if their week wasn't good, then the call is going to turn into one of those calls where it's about negative stuff. We want to keep the calls as positive as possible. We're going to build the optimal health community. We're going to ask them who's noticing. What are people saying to you? What are they asking? I'm going to tell them that we don't want to refer them to the website, so let's not talk about it being Optavia. But at the same time, I'll say, I'm eating 6 meals a day working with a health coach. I can refer you to mine. But either way, I'll listen to what they're saying. Are they sending referrals? Are they, are there enough people noticing that I think that they can be a good, really good health coach? I want to help awaken that, in that call. We're really going to offer the clues that it's not just a weight loss program that we have. We want to talk about, all the other areas. So that's why in that call, we want to dig into their work life, their family life, what they're doing, on weekends or vacations they have upcoming, things along those lines. We want to make sure that we look at that well-being evaluation prior to this call. The well-being evaluation, I know it is in the new text messages that we're sending out prior to people getting their program. So that would be something, to keep as well, to understand where they're at in the mind and the financial areas. And then if they're interested, let's set up a follow-up call. If we have that well-being assessment, we'll send them, we'll look that over, but we'll send them, one of the trilogy calls that really explains what health coaching is. But we want to set up a follow-up call just so they have time to look that stuff over. Plus your coach is probably already booked, the half an hour afterwards. So that celebration call turning into a coaching call right there might be tough for your coach. So the client celebration and struggling client, this is what I was talking about building that trust. Your client knows and trusts you. Your client, if you're new, is probably, a family member or a friend. So they have that trust there. On the right-hand side, that green arrow from the sponsor coach to the client. So you have the trust via friendship. You as your coach with your support coach, you know that they're successful, knowledgeable, helpful, and fun. So that edification that you bring into, the introduction, when you bring your client in and introduce them to your coach, this is my coach. This is, how long they've been doing it. This is, how much they know. They've been really helpful, helping me, help, coach clients. And then they're going to make it fun. But at the same time, so that's here's you have the two connections there. Well, now you're bringing the connection with your coach to your client, where you're really bringing the trust with that edification, with, how you're introducing them and kind of what they've done for you.
All right, so we're going to talk about the steps of the story call or the steps of the celebration call. Of course, we know that the ideal is that their first week on program. The sponsoring coach, of course, invites them to the Zoom, and then edifies them by saying, "Hey, I've been bragging to my coach about you. They can't wait to hear about your success, so celebrate your success this week and stuff." So it's really all about you're setting that call up to where that client feels good. You want them to feel good about this first call, that it is a celebration about them, that you're helping them to move forward, and we want to talk about, what's going on with them. And then, of course, you're going to do that in the sponsoring coach's Zoom room, which is convenient because that's your room and that's your client. Of course, just like Josh said, they are familiar with you, not with your coach. So you want to make certain that that's how that's done. And then number two is that you want to introduce your supporting coach. You now you've edified your client to your coach, right? And you told that to the client. Now you want to edify that coach to your client. And this is your introduction to them. So you want to talk about, what that person has done for you, maybe what they've done for other people, or maybe how long they've been coaching, or just anything to build them up to your client, to help your client trust them, because that's what we're doing. We're sort of passing the mantle to your client and to your coach so that there's a trust bond built there between those two. Okay, and then you, just like Josh just said, you're going to want to mute yourself. You're going to mute out, and then you're going to listen. And now the support coach is going to start asking questions about the client. They may get them to talk about themselves, talk a little bit about what's gone on good, tell them, some of the things that they're excited about, kind of starting off. And then, talk about the victories on the scale, victories off the scale, some things that they're noticing about their body, even though it's in that first week, their energy level is going to be up, and they could have already lost, a couple of inches in different places just because of that reduction of water and stuff like that. So, that you're going to talk about their weight, like I said, energy, clothes fitting better, Maybe it's that they've started to have some kind of a social setting. Maybe they were at work and they brought in a whole bunch of donuts and stuff. I know they used to kill us with that stuff at my job, and I would just sit there and not paying attention to it. And those were moral victories for me that I didn't dive into that big box of donuts or whatever was in front of me. So you want to talk about that and help them understand that they're that those little victories, those little disciplines that they're setting themselves up for success. And then if they've messed up in those, we don't, dwell on those things. We just wipe it off and continue on. But you just want to compliment them on everything that you can to help them and reinforce them that they're making the right decision. Then the support coach is then going to ask permission to give, it may be top tips. You don't want to look at this as you're trying to tell them what to do, but you're wanting to give them support, and you're wanting to, encourage them. But sometimes they need some direction. Sometimes that they get off track, and even in that first week is the best time to give somebody a tip to help them stay on track. Because if they get off there, they could really derail themselves going into that first month, and then you're going to have a struggling client towards the end of the month because they didn't get the redirection that they needed in that first week. You want to edify them, tell them what they're doing good, build them up, tell them, encourage them about what they're doing good. And then you want to make certain that they're like drinking a lot of water, or you want to make certain that they're starting to learn about the feelings, or that they're getting into the habits of health and starting to read. You want them in that beginning to read like chapter 5 and chapter 6, starting off in their journey, so that they get off and step off on the right foot to learning about that. And then that's, we're learning about Dr. A's book and about the habits of health and learning all that through the system. If maybe they're sedentary at their job, maybe they sit at a desk all day long or something, and maybe you're going to introduce them maybe every couple of hours that they may want to get up and walk around the office or do something to get some energy built up and stuff like that. So we just want to encourage them to keep moving forward, to keep focusing on developing those new habits that are going to create that long-term success. Maybe it's, we talk about a BSLIM lifestyle. That lifestyle is learning to eat every 2 to 3 hours. That's learning to have breakfast. I know a lot of people say, well, I don't eat breakfast. Well, we're going to eat breakfast on program. We're going to eat something to kick off our metabolism for the day. And that is part of a new lifestyle, and that's that habits that they're going to start learning. You want to continue to support them. And then, of course, it says 2 sides of support. There's your support. There's the community support. There's your coaching support. They've got lots of different types of support out there, and you want to encourage them to tap into those. And then, towards the end of the call, you're wanting to thank them. You want to thank them for the call. You want to thank them for choosing health for themselves. A lot of times, people like to be praised. In the society we live in, there's a lack of for everybody, and people like that. So as we know that they like that, we want to thank them for choosing health for them, because that's going to inspire others. So their example is going to inspire other people, and the other people, they may not start on our program, but they may do something in their life to increase their life, to start doing something healthy because they're watching you. I mean, this is not about just because someone doesn't do the program and doesn't hop on board with us in the program, we don't want them to be successful. We want everyone to be successful. We want all of them to be healthy. We just know that the tools are in place for to have the best success possible in the least amount of time, if they will hop on with Optavia, because they're going to learn those incredible habits that are going to sustain them long term. We want to help them for being part of the community, being part of our family. I mean, this is a powerful business model that we have that encourages people to have long-term success and not yo-yo dieting up and down and all the different things that we've done. I've done all that stuff, but never did I have a community that supported me. Dang, I'm going to get emotional. Shut up.
All right, so summary of the client story calls. We want to bring people on, edify your coach. We want to solidify, their why and how they're going to get to their goal. Unify, everyone together, your coach, you, your client. And then the idea is to multiply to, so we'll either bring them on as a coach and continue transferring the skills, continue helping more people that way, or referrals through these calls. So that's kind of the summary of what we're looking to do. Go to the next one. So here are your action steps. You want a 5-in-1 your business. Eat the food, drink the water. You're guaranteed to lose the weight. So we want this week, lead with your health. If you're not, walking it and talking it, a lot of other people aren't going to want to do that as well. Nobody actually, like Joe said, gets to an end point and they're good. You always need to be setting goals for yourself in your health. So call your health coach. Figure out what you want those goals to be. Fill out your map completely. I talk to my coach 3 times a month. Usually, before the month starts, right around the 10th, right around the 15th, and then about the 25th, where we'll go over where I'm at or where we're at, me and Michelle, in our map. Have we, is our goal, going to happen, or how close are we, or what action steps do we need to do? So call your support team. Set up another map call. It's the mid-month right now. It's what, the 20th? Yeah, it is the 20th. So it's a great time to see what you need to do to get to your goal. Schedule at least 3 client celebration calls. I mean, as you move forward, you should probably be doing, 1 or 2 a week, depending on how many clients you have and where they're at. But those celebration calls, work wonders, not only for your clients being on program and being excited, for them, wanting to keep going. As the month ends, they might want to push their order out or something along those lines. But that's really what's going to keep them engaged. And that's where, if you're not good at it yet, that's where coaching, can be presented. Use your calendar. You're going to get busy. Keep those rocks in your calendar. Use your calendar. It's going to remind you 30 minutes before, probably, if that's how you set it up, and right at the time of that meeting. Put together your client tracking binder. Anyone that's bought their coaching kit since July has the binder. Has pre-clients, clients. Use your binder. Be organized. That's one of the biggest things to being successful here. Heads up. But yeah, no, that's key in your job as a coach. And you got to understand too, you're a business owner. You own a business. You help people get healthy. How many business owners do you think, that might be, down the street from your house? Do you think they don't go in with a plan? Do you think they don't go in with organization? Health coaching is a business, and you can be rewarded very well, as a health coach, and you can help quite a few people get healthy if you just stay organized, stay in your calendar. What I do is add 100 new names to your contact list. Be intentional. I made a list of 30 non-clients that I'd like to coach, 20 clients that I'd like to coach, and 50 people that I think would make great clients that I think, program can really benefit them. And what am I doing? I'm saying hi. I'm saying, hey, how's your day? I'm looking at their Facebook page and bringing something up, and then messaging them, hey, did you have fun at the river? I see that you went, but I'm starting conversations with those people. But connect with your accountability partner. I know when we started this group, for January, we got some accountability partners. So connect with your accountability partner. If you don't have one, find one. You can really hold each other accountable, and help each other kind of grow together, make it fun. So that's the end, I believe, of, oh no, we have one more. No, we don't. No, that's it. So Joe, you can stop recording. So hit that record button,
Yeah, I don't know where that is.
the bottom. Oh, hit
Stop